Pilot who hitched a ride saved Lion Air 737 day before D3adly crash. That extra pilot, who was seated in the cockpit jump seat, correctly diagnosed the problem and told the crew how to disable a malfunctioning flight control system and save the plane, according to two people familiar with Indonesia's investigation. The next day, under command of a different crew facing what investigators said was an identical malfunction, the jetliner crashed into the Java Sea, killing all 189 aboard. The previously undisclosed detail on the earlier Lion Air flight represents a new clue in the mystery of how some 737 MAX pilots, faced with the malfunction, have been able to avert disaster, while the others lost control of their planes and crashed. The presence of a third. All the data and information that we have on the flight and the aircraft have been submitted to the Indonesian NTSC. We can't provide. The Indonesia Safety Committee report said the plane had multiple failures on previous flights and hadn't been properly repaired. Representatives for Boeing and the Indonesian Safety Committee declined to comment on the earlier flight. The safety system, designed to keep planes from climbing too steeply and stalling, has come under scrutiny by investigators of the crash as well as a subsequent one less than 5 months later in Ethiopia. A malfunctioning Boeing 737 MAX was grounded March 13 by U.S. regulators after similarities to the October 29 Lion Air crash emerged in the investigation of the March 10 crash of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302. In the wake of the Transportation Department's Inspector General is conducting a review of how the plane was certified to fly, and a grand jury under the U.S. Justice Department is also seeking records in a possible criminal probe of the plane's certification. The FAA last week said it planned to mandate changes in the system to make it less likely to activate when there is no emergency. The agency and we will fully cooperate in the review in the Department of Transportation's audit, Boeing spokesman Charles Biggers said in an email. The company has after the Lion Air crash, two U.S. pilots' unions said the potential risks of the system, known as the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or MCAS, hadn't been sufficiently spelled out in their manuals or training. None of the document. We don't like that we weren't notified, John Weeks, president of the Southwest Airlines Pilots Association, said in November. It makes us question. The Allied Pilots Association Union at American Airlines Group Incorporated also said details about the system weren't included in the documentation about the plane. Following the Lion Air crash, the FAA required Boeing to notify airlines about the system, and Boeing sent a bulletin to all customers flying the MAX reminding them how to disable it in an emergency. Authorities have released few details about Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 other than it flew a very similar track as the Lion Air planes and then dove sharply into the ground. There have been no if the same issue is also found to have helped bring down Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, one of the most vexing questions crash investigators and aviation safety consultants are asking is why the pilots on that flight didn't perform the checklist that disables the system. After this horrific Lion Air accident, you'd think that everyone flying this airplane would know that's how you turn this off, said Steve Wallace, the former director of the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration's Accident Investigation Branch. The combination of factors required to bring down a plane in these circumstances suggests other issues may also have occurred in the Ethiopia crash, said Jeffrey Gazzetti, who also directed accident investigations at FAA and is now a consultant. It's simply implausible that this MCAS deficiency by itself can down a modern jetliner with a trained crew, Gazzetti said. MCAS is driven by a single sensor near the nose that measures the so-called angle of attack, or whether air is flowing parallel to the length of the fuselage or at an angle. On the Lion Air flight, with assistance from Mary Schlangenstein. To contact the reporters on this story, Alan Levin in Washington at alevin24@bloomberg.net. Harry Suhartone. To contact the editors responsible for this story, John Morgan at jmorgan97@bloomberg.net. Kevin Whitelaw. For more articles like this, please visit us at Copyright 2019 Bloomberg LP.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.